So I'm literally blocking you from your Friday happy hour. So I promise I'll keep it quick. So this would be a teaser. Maybe next session I'll go to a deep dive. But as I'm talking about Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, I think Tom and Kim, they gave me a perfect podium for that. They started the discussion, and we are literally talking about cybersecurity. Last meeting, I was speaking with Greg, and we were talking about this group is for Intunes or user group or how we manage endpoint. So Defender for Endpoint and some of the cybersecurity is pretty like kind of sequence. So we'll have more this kind of session. But for today's discussion, we'll talk about Defender for Endpoint. I would not bore with my resume or something, but I work at Microsoft. I have some 16 years of experience working with different companies, but right now I'm specifically focusing on Microsoft Defender products and security products like SIM and XDR, everything. So I'm working with some of the customers to help them implement Defender on the products. Now for today's session, I'll talk about high level Defender for Endpoint. Have you heard about Defender for Endpoint, anyone? Okay, oh, awesome. So we'll talk about a little bit of endpoint, how it works, some of the architectural features and whatnot, and we'll go to a quick demo. Now, before I go into my next slide, I'll let it build the slide. Okay, so you will find this slide in aka.ms MCRA, which is Microsoft cybersecurity reference architecture. But at Microsoft, we always talk about end-to-end kill chain. I think Tom and Kim, they were talking about some of the security threats, maybe starting with a benign phishing email, and from there it all starts. And for today's discussion, we would be concentrating on Defender for Endpoint. But as I talk about endpoint, what do you think? What is an endpoint, like, in your definition?
Device, anything that a user touches or uses.
Yeah. So it can be device, it can be workstation, it can be server, anything, right? So, and modern security landscape, as more and more people are working remotely, now those network boundaries gone. So with this threat landscape, endpoint security is very important, and not only having those regular antivirus or something, we need more. Now you might be wondering, Tom and Kim, they talk about app locker or WDAC or whatnot, but how this is different. So now we are talking about multi-cloud, multi-operating system. It's not only Windows. We have other devices. We have devices in iOS, Apple, or like Linux and whatnot. And modern security landscape is changing. Like they have become sophisticated. They know how to loophole into your system, right? So that's the reason you need something very sophisticated endpoint device. So that way Microsoft Defender for Endpoint comes into picture. And this is one of the product under Microsoft XDR. Have you heard of XDR, Extended Detection and Response? Okay, so it's part of that. So I'll go a little bit into that, but this is one of the products from Microsoft XDR platform. Very briefly, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, I'll go into some of the features, how it's different, how it's best in class in the market, and what are the features that makes it different with other products. Now, some of the things I would like to talk about, endpoint detection and response. It's not like regular signature-based AV, where it matches with something and it tells it's good or bad. It has to be more than that. And there has to be detection capability and action capability. From the platform, what can you do? Can you isolate the device? Or can you take any action? Can you run a quick scan? Can you launch a campaign? All those things needs to be there in your platform. And if you're using any product, like you ask yourself, what are them? Like from the group, other than MD, like can you talk about any AV or endpoint detection you're using? Anyone?
Defender.
Defender? Okay, Windows Defender. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't used anything else.
Okay.
We're down to maybe 100 machines and still less than that.
Okay, semantic. Okay, that's what I'm hearing some of the customers using. Windows Defender pretty good. Like I think basic, like you get started with that. But yeah. But Microsoft Defender Endpoint might need different license or something. So I spoke about endpoint detection and response. Next, I'll talk about attack surface reduction. This is one of the key features as I'm talking about endpoint protection. What it means, how you can harden your system without any disruption. We know you can harden your system by like a golden image or whatnot. But if you think about regular attacks that happen, what it does, it tries to create a child process. There is an email which has a like benign Word doc, which creates a child macro. How can you make sure you can create some of the rules which can stop those things? So external or like attack surface reduction are those rules. And as I'm seeing more and more people here are talking about Intunes. Using Intunes, you can create those rules, I'll show. But those are attack surface reduction rules. And other than that, like as you see on the screen, asset discovery and vulnerability management. When I go into the portal, you'll see all your endpoints. Like, do you have a good discovery? Do you have a asset inventory of them? Like, how do you know which device is vulnerable versus not, right? So we are talking about your Windows, Linux, your mobile devices and whatnot. The next one is automatic investigation and remediation. This is called AIR. From the platform, do you have any capability where it can do things on its own? Like, for example, any specific malicious file, if it knows, it'll block it. So irrespective of whatever the configuration you have, we are making sure we do not disrupt the productivity. Whenever we start blocking some basic stuff, users cannot work, right? So how about if the platform can take up some of the malicious files and all those things? So that's AIR. And other than that, like there are next generation protection, and Microsoft platform has some other capabilities. I would like skip and I'll try to give you a demo of some of the things. But I think this might be interesting. Like when we think about endpoint detection, like architecturally, how does it work? Now, it would need a process to onboard your devices. MD has a sensor that needs to be installed on your endpoints. Now, how you install that? It can be your Mecum a configuration manager. It can be your Intune. You can use local GPO policies. You can manually install all those policies. You can onboard your devices with MD. Now, good thing is Windows 10 and Windows 11 has that sensor already built into it. So that means it's basically in a sleep mode. All you need to do once you have license or something, you just get it activated so that it starts working on it. But as you see, once you have the sensor installed on your endpoints, it starts getting the feeds from your operating system. It collects information from Microsoft Threat Intelligence Graph, and it tries to see what's happening to your system so that it can take action. It can create alert, it can create incident, it can take action. Now, there are some actions that it would let you to do that, but there are some automatic actions already taken. And with that, you have one dashboard where you see all these things together. And again, I'm talking about like Rudy, you know, Microsoft E5 product. It has a bunch of different products, like different for apps and whatnot. But for all of them, you have one single portal where you see the signals, the incidents, the alerts, and all those things. And Microsoft platform helps you to do a correlation so that you don't go into multiple portals. That's the plan. Now, if you want to use only MD, that's possible, but it's the platform that's helping you. Okay, now, as I was talking about, what are the platforms which is supported? Now, again, like when we are hearing about WDAC or other things, it was specifically to Windows, right? Now we want to see how enterprises can onboard all different type of devices. And this single sensor can help all the different things. Like you talk about Windows, you talk about Mac OS, you talk about Linux, you talk about iOS, Android, virtual devices, virtual desktops, like a lot of companies are using their virtual desktops that can be onboarded, and network and IoT devices. That's also can be connected. Like when you have your printers running in your network and you want to know how many printers in my system, using Microsoft Defender for Endpoint and Defender for IoT, you can get all those feeds and signals. It's basically Microsoft is trying to build one single pane of glass where you can have all these different types of things. literally. Okay, any question before I go into a quick demo? Does it make sense? Endpoint detection? Okay. Let's go into the demo. Okay, so this is security.microsoft.com. When you have your E5 license or when you have onboarded Defender for Endpoint, you get this particular portal. Now here, as you see, you have all the details about your devices. Let me go to the devices. So I was in my demo environment. I have like a couple of devices. One is from Windows. I think this is not super clear. Is it visible well? Okay.
No.
No, right? Yeah, I think it's the resolution.
Control plus.
Control plus, okay.
Oh, too much.
Oh no, get my mouse. Hold on a sec.
Scroll.
Yeah, the resolution is not super clear. Now. Okay.
Well.
Okay. How about this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so right now I'm trying to show you on the devices section. Oops. Come on. Okay.
Are you trying to zoom in?
Yeah, I think with this. Okay, so this is very, so as you see on my screen, I have a couple of devices that got onboarded to Defender for Endpoint, which shows the operating system. It's not super clear, the resolution, so. But anyway, so once you have the sensors installed, so it will show up in your device inventory. And as you see, it can have your network devices, it can have your IoT devices or whatnot, single portal. I'll try to do a little bit of threat investigation. So if I was trying to collect some of the incidents, I was trying to make a sample attack, and it gave me all these different alerts. Like as you see on the screen, there was a bunch of things happened on my devices, and it seems like there was a zip file which was kind of somebody was trying to do. If I try to go into a little bit of details, it says that there was a malware that kind of was blocked. And it was a file I was trying to download from iCard, and it kind of stopped it. So you couldn't do that. It's like very basic, but you can do all these different things. Now, the beauty of this platform is you can take different action. So let me see if I can show you that. I'm trying to do that. As you see here, different details are there, and I have a lot of different options to do that. So I can download what was the file which was used. I can stop and quarantine. I can go hunt. That's the beauty of the platform. You can take different action. It's not your regular antivirus or something. You can do more than that. You can create live sessions. You can do all those different things. Now, if I talk about some of the settings real quick, what you can do on Defender for Endpoint. So here, if you see, let's see some of the capabilities that comes from the platform. I don't know if it's, okay, it's kind of visible. So here you can enable different features and capabilities. Like, do you want to turn on live response? Do you want to, here is one of the feature I would like to talk about, and I would definitely recommend enable EDR in block mode. You want things to be blocked, you want to turn this on feature. And there are a bunch of other policies and features, like tamper protection is another capabilities where you can make sure that there are some certain DLLs cannot be altered, because when hackers or attackers, they try to access your system, they try to fiddle with your DLLs. So this tamper protection is one of the capabilities. One, other than that, there are content filtering. So MDE can be lot more than your antivirus. It can be your network protection, it can be your web content filter. It can do a lot of other things. So you can check all these different features and work on that. Now, as I was talking about onboarding and offboarding, you might be wondering, like, how do I onboard the devices? Now, I showed from the web like deck that what are the operating systems supported. But here you see there are a lot of different operating systems supported, technically everything. So you have Windows 8 or something, you can still onboard MDE onto them. Now, that is not recommended. If you have those older operating system, I would definitely say that, okay, how you can get rid of them. But if we are talking about functionalities and applicability, you can still do that. And there are different processes you can do onboard deployment methods, like you can do local script, group policy, Mecum, or Intune, or there is a onboarding device for non-persistent devices as well. So technically, you have any different methods you can get and leverage. It would give you the package, you install it, and you get started. So that's how see in the platform, you have different capabilities and how you can do that. Now, before I close for today, I'll just try to give overview of some of the reports which are might be very useful. So from the platform, you will get a security reports on your devices, identities, what are the risks, and what are the actions that needs to be taken. Once it populates.
So quick question while you're waiting on that.
Yes,
For the VDI non-persistent onboarding, how does that work? Do they just show up when they're live and then disappear when they die?
Yes. So there are two processes. One is when you have VDIs, each time they would have their unique IDs, or sometimes those IDs are used by multiple VDIs. But technically, the onboarding process I showed you, so you can install them, so it will come up. The only challenges you see when you have one device which is used by multiple users, and maybe there would be different IDs or same IDs, but there is a process which can be like kind of onboarded.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like in a scenario where you have a parent and then you have instant phones that pop off of that, if this protects that, or if that's kind of what this is meant for, or?
So it is meant for non-persistent devices. So only this decision that you have to make, whether your non-persistent devices would have different IDs each time it is instantiated, or it's going to have single ID all the time. So that way you can create the policies. But the process-wise, the option I showed, non-persistent devices, so you totally have it. I think there is one article out there you can find.
It's neat that it cleans itself up.
Yes. Yeah.
Other tools like Rapid7 don't really like to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So recently there was a conversation, one of the customers, they were using Amazon app streams, and they were asking like, is there a support? So we found an article from Amazon AppStream and it was pointing to MDE, but we have to make sure that it is patched or it is kind of created as an image, but there is a theoretical process available. Okay, now before I conclude, I'll quickly try to show something on the vulnerability management, and I think some screen is kind of freezing. Refresh. Not super happy today. Of course. Yeah, one of the features I was trying to show, like how it is. Yeah, here you come. There's a lag out there. Okay, so like we heard about Log4j or whatnot. So one of the common topic comes into picture consideration. That, by the way, in my environment, how many devices or endpoints I have with Log4j or whatnot. And very recently, there was a document from CISA, like if you know Cybersecurity Infrastructure and Security Agency, it's a government agency. And this report came April 7, and they literally highlighted 5 vulnerabilities that kind of made into their catalog. Yes. And one of the items I saw on Windows, right? So I was trying to see if Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, if I can kind of see if I have that details. Now, you have all these weaknesses in the system, and you can literally search what you have on your system. And obviously, I do not have it, but I was trying to challenge Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. Does it actually thinks about this vulnerability? So I would select everything that comes with the platform, and then I'll try to find it. So you see this particular vulnerability already added. The idea is modern EDR platform. It's about how it can respond with the modern threats. It cannot be afterthought. So, and when this was released, I got an email notification that this is released. So that's how sophisticated it is, the platform. Now, it's not making you take decision, but it's basically helping you to make the decision that, okay, this is something out there and you have to patch your system or you have to do something. So that's how you can rely on the platform so that you don't have to hunt for things on your own. And if you look into carefully some of the more details, it gives all the details, like what is the CVS score, exactly what you see on the CISA.gov side. Some of the capabilities and details are already given here. Now, as we talk about cybersecurity is kind of asymmetric problem, like terrorism, it's always more attackers than your defenders, right? So you need some capabilities from the platform so that it makes you do better, because we do not have enough cybersecurity professionals. So that's the reason Microsoft Defender platform tries to help with all the automation, some of the capabilities, some of the easiness, and some of the correlation to make things easier and better. I know it's already going to be 4. So any quick question on this? I think during next time, I'll talk about a little bit of attack surface management and how you can do from your Intune platform. If I can quickly show. So you can manage a lot of configurations and things from your Intune portal. Like as you see here, you can enable attack surface reduction rules. I can created one, and let me show you what are they.
Yeah, I think this would be good to cover in a future session if you could show like what should we manage from Intune versus what should we manage from the whatever it is, security.microsoft.com.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that, for me, that's always been the one thing of there's 4 places to manage this. Where should I do it from?
Okay,
So
that's a good question. We can definitely take that offline. But if I think about an Intune, it's your operational management, how you manage those endpoints. Now, security.microsoft.com is where you take action on the security. For example, your security dashboard, your threats, your incidents, your all those different things. Now, there is a plan, like we might merge some of the tools together, but right now you think about security.microsoft.com. If you have to take action to isolate the device, or like before I quickly close, I can show you here, as you see, this is the incident dashboard, right? So you saw there were a bunch of different alerts, like maybe 15 or 20s, but the incident page, it gives me like less number of incidents, because from the platform, Microsoft can correlate all those different alerts and create one single incident. Because when one of the alert happens, or it's not one event, there are multiple events, and we want to think it in a security kill chain, or if the platform can help me to understand the correlation, this is helpful, right? So that's why I think here you see all these things, and it's coming from different areas. It can come from your endpoint, it can come from your endpoint protection or whatnot. But in short, to answer your question, like Intune generally, how you manage your endpoints, like how you roll out policies, how you create the like different rules. But on the other hand, like security.microsoft.com will be your XDR platform. When you do a threat investigation, you see some of the logs, you see the security dashboard. But definitely we can have like follow-up demo on that. But I can cover all these different products, because as I see more and more customers and you folks are using Intune and MD, I'm sure there is a good inflection point out there. Okay.
I just wanted to share, from my perspective as a small, I'm a single person IT, and this gives me the power of, almost having a security department, because it does all of this stuff automated for me, and just allows me to go when an incident that does require my, evaluation, I can go and do it. So it gives me all that power that, I just don't have the time to do manually.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we are both working with some of the smaller customers, and most of the time, this is the problem we see. Like when we have, and one of the other propaganda that we have, a lot of customers, they try to go best of breed, like all the 50 solutions. Now they don't know how to use it, and they have 50 folks working on different things. Instead, how about you have one platform which is kind of integrated together? And in this portal, as you are seeing, if you try to see, like it's coming from different portals. It's coming from your Azure Active Directory. The signal is coming from your endpoint. It can come from your different for cloud apps. And it tries to build those correlation all together, which is kind of helpful, right? So if you see one of these multi-stage attacks, here if it kind of loads. So you will see there are a lot of things kind of give you, when you have multiple alerts, we call it alert fatigue, right? So SOC teams are okay, oh my God, which one do I take? If there is a platform which can create a smaller set of number, so that's helpful. So I think that's the plan. It comes with a price, and that's something we are working with. Like E5 is a higher license model, but definitely organizations with smaller workforce are getting enough value out of it. Okay, with the promise for next follow-up session. So on this XDR topic and cybersecurity topic. So this is end of my session. I would be around, like if you have any question or something, please let us know. Okay, no problem.